It is agreed that British farming is the sacrificial lamb of Brexit. And I think we can bring in fishing as well. I try and get you to understand why you should be invested in this, because it's your food. And all of us need food. And it's food that is the sacrificial lamb of Brexit. And that impacts us all. So on Twitter today, there's been a discussion about sell-by dates, use-by dates, which have been changed by supermarkets in the last year or so. And a lot of fresh produce no longer has a date on it, apart from a code which is for supermarkets to understand. A lot of people are commenting that they're buying foods which are going off very quickly. So they're not able to do a weekly shop any longer and think, oh, this is going to be okay in my fridge for a week. And I'm experiencing that too. I bought some oranges a couple of days ago. So I bought these oranges a couple of days ago on New Year's Eve from Waitrose, extra large 4-pack. And opened them up today, and so you've been away for a couple of days, and one has been eaten. There's one here which is okay and can be eaten, but the third one is definitely not edible, and the fourth one here, whilst it's not quite as green, has got a particularly bad patch here, and it's well on its way, and I doubt it tastes very good. So from my perspective, there is no point buying things in bulk any longer. I mean, not that I bought it bulk, but 4 is hardly bulk, but you're best to just buy what you want to eat on a given day, I guess. Or maybe you can perhaps go to the following day. I'm now in a zone where we have to examine what we're buying. Whereas before you would take the effort to sort of look at the sell-by dates, buying salad produce. You might think, oh, this one's, January the 5th, this one's January the 2nd, I'll go with January the 5th. You're no longer able to make those decisions because the date has been removed. And that was apparently made by the supermarkets to be more environmental and to save food waste. But actually, it's saving food waste for the supermarkets, isn't it? Because all they're doing now is passing it on to the consumer, who's throwing it away in their bin. And that's not good, is it? No, none of us wants to spend money on food that you end up finding out that it's inedible. But why? Here's the devil is always in the detail. Why is it that the food that we're buying, the fresh food, veg, and fruit, etc., is not lasting as long as it used to? And the reason for that is Brexit. Because less fresh food, less food altogether is being grown in Britain for numerous reasons, which I've gone through before, but I'll list them very briefly now. Loss of CAP, food subsidies, loss of freedom of movement, so loss of labour supply, loss of free trade with our biggest trade partner, unlevel playing field, being flooded with foods from Europe and the rest of the world, and no checks, not the same checks for those goods coming into our market. That is supposedly going to change at the end of January, but we'll wait and see if that actually happens. And also policy. The government are paying for farmers, incentivising farmers to go into environmental schemes. They've done nothing to incentivise farmers to produce food. Quite the opposite. We've had so many problems with with inflation and the Ukraine war causing energy price surge. Our fertiliser plants have closed now, and the government wouldn't do anything to help them keep them open. And so a lot of farms have looked at the risk factor and seen what the schemes are from the government, and they're thinking, well, I might as well just do these schemes for the next 5 years and wait until the storm passes, which means that less food is being produced in Britain. No one's going to take that risk, or well, only big producers, and even then, even some big farms that I know are not taking the risk because you think, well, I'll plant some flowers the next 5 years and come back to it and see what's going on then. And so, as well, for Europe, they're not bothered about sending stuff here. It's not a priority. So we are getting more food from Morocco, more food coming from further away, which is going off. The European food, the EU food that is coming here is the low priority food. Our supermarkets too don't want to spend the money. They want to keep the prices down. And EU suppliers are saying, well, okay, if you want to only pay that little for your food, we'll give you this, which is not the premium goods. And that is why our food is deteriorating. It was always what I thought was going to happen. It's just happening a lot quicker than I thought it would. And when the Brexit checks come in, if they do come in at the end of January, it will get worse, as well as we have the not for EU label rollout, which Sunak has totally gone overboard with, which means that all products produced here, meat and dairy, will have a not for EU sticker on it, which makes it much harder to export. It also makes us look like we've got a plague of some sort. And if you see a product which has got not for EU on the label, it doesn't exactly entice you to buy it, does it? This is the reality of Brexit. It was always a bad idea, but it was always particularly bad for food and for standards, for environmental standards, for public health, for our health. We are what we eat. There are no benefits apart from being able to have a pint of wine. When do we actually stand up, wake up and say, this has failed? We did it with the poll tax. We recognised that it wasn't working. And we really need to get to that point with Brexit. I hope it happens soon.